In the sweltering heat of the desert, a group of archaeologists trekked across the rugged landscape, their gear clanking with each step. Dust coated their boots as they descended into the excavation site, the soft murmur of brushes and picks striking ancient earth a steady hum against the backdrop of endless dunes. Among them was a child, no older than 10, the son of one of the men, wide-eyed and curious as he watched the others work. Dr. Marcus, the lead archaeologist, was a man of sharp intellect, his graying hair showing the wear of years spent under the sun, chasing the traces of forgotten civilizations. Beside him, the boy's father, Gregor, a muscular, weathered man, dug carefully into the sediment, uncovering the fragile bones of creatures long extinct. "Careful there," Gregor said, his voice gruff but affectionate as he glanced at his son, David, who sat nearby, mimicking the careful strokes with his own miniature brush. The dig had been fruitful so far. Remains of small mammals and plant fossils had emerged from the layers, clues to a time before recorded history. But their real aim was buried deeper, hidden in the bedrock below. They had been following strange signals picked up by ground-penetrating radar for days now, something that seemed too old to be human. The excitement and mystery of it had kept the men working late into the evenings, despite the growing exhaustion. After hours of steady progress, Dr. Marcus called the team over, his voice tinged with disbelief. "You're going to want to see this." Beneath the layers of sediment, in an area far older than any of them had expected, a skull had appeared. But this wasn't the skull of an animal, some long-forgotten creature lost to the annals of evolution. No, this was unmistakably human. Marcus wiped the sweat from his brow and crouched, his eyes locked on the fragment of bone that jutted from the earth. It was impossible. Human remains shouldn't be this deep, in this layer of rock that predated humanity by millennia. The other men gathered around, silent as the implications began to settle in. Gregor knelt down next to Marcus, carefully brushing away the dirt to reveal more of the skull. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what they had uncovered. There was no mistake, this was a human skull, intact and ancient, but it defied everything they knew about human history. David had been watching from a distance, his young mind struggling to understand what was unfolding before him. He knew the significance of their work, had grown up listening to stories of ancient civilizations and lost worlds. But this was something different. He stood up, his small feet crunching over the loose gravel as he approached the men. Gregor, still kneeling, glanced at his son, his face a mixture of wonder and confusion. Dr. Marcus broke the silence first. This can't be right. It's too old. There's no way a human could have existed this far back. This layer, it predates Homo sapiens by millions of years." The group exchanged glances, the air thick with unease. They had stumbled upon something that threatened to upend everything they thought they knew about the origins of humankind. David, wide-eyed and curious as always, stood just behind his father, peering over his shoulder at the skull. His young face bore none of the confusion the men felt. To him, it seemed almost natural, as if something deep inside him understood what the others could not. After a long pause, the boy finally spoke, his voice soft but clear. "We are going to go back then." The words hung in the air, their meaning twisting and turning in the minds of the men. Gregor looked at his son, puzzled by the cryptic statement. "What do you mean, David?" The boy shrugged, his eyes still fixed on the skull. "If they were here before us, maybe we're supposed to go back too. Maybe we're not done yet." The desert wind howled softly in the distance, carrying with it an eerie sense of finality.